Wow, thank you. I would just like to take a brief moment to thank the Dallas Children's Advocacy Center and the Dallas Police Department for having me here to speak at this conference. The work they do is so important in furthering the efforts of protecting and reclaiming our children. Enough can never be done when it comes to bringing a child home. I am in constant awe as I continually learn how much was done to help bring me home. I will forever be indebted to the world. I remember my darkest moments were always pierced with a ray of hope that one day I would be rescued, that I would see my family, that I would be able to live life without fear that at any moment it could end. One of the happiest days of my life was when I was sitting in the basement of the Sandy Police Station and my dad walked in. I had just been picked up from State Street in Sandy, and until that moment, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had only known intense captivity, terror, and pain. But when I saw my dad, I knew I would never have to live in fear again. Soon after my dad and I had been reunited, we were transported from the Sandy Police Station to the Salt Lake City Police Station. During the car ride to Salt Lake, I tried to talk to my mom on the phone, but I had no words to say. I just wanted to hear her voice. I wanted to know she was there. And then the phone battery died. When I finally was reunited with my family, I didn't think I could contain my joy. My heart felt like it was going to explode. In that moment and every moment since, I know that I have been blessed beyond reason and that I am the luckiest girl in the world. If only every child could have the same ending, or better yet, if they never had to make that sojourn through hell. Those are the only words I can think to describe what my experience was. Going to bed in my perfect 14-year-old world and waking up in a living hell with a man who might have been the devil himself. My life before I was kidnapped was about as perfect as I could have hoped for. Day-to-day life included going to junior high, practicing my harp, hanging out with my best friend, and spending time with my family. What a contrast that was to the next 9 months. The first thing I remember on the morning of June 5th was a man's voice and a cold, sharp object pressed to my neck. The next few hours were filled with shock and terror as we raced back up into the mountains behind my home. Questions piled on top of unanswered questions. At one point, I couldn't help but beg him to do whatever he was going to do to me then and there, so that my parents would be able to find my remains one day. When we finally reached our destination, I thought the worst was over, especially when I saw a woman emerge from the well-thought-out camp. Little did I know, the horror hadn't even begun. Nothing could have ever prepared me for what came next. A would-be marriage to a man that was older than my own father, being raped daily, waking up to have a metal cable bolted around my ankle, eliminating any chance of escape, and being the victim of mental and emotional abuse so severe that had I not been taught from as far back as I can remember about a very special plan God has for us to return to Him and have all pain, suffering, and injustices healed, I would have never survived. Every kidnapping, rape, murder, any crime committed against a child is a unique nightmare. What if there was a way to prevent these crimes? What if we didn't always have to react after a crime has been committed? But what if we could act before these crimes ever took place? Aren't our children the most important aspects of our lives? And shouldn't each one of us be willing to sacrifice everything we have to protect a child? There is something we can do. There is something we can give our children so that when they are faced with these unthinkable situations, they can choose their course of action being informed. We can let them know that 1, No one has the right to hurt them because they are special. 2, they don't have the right to hurt anyone else unless someone is trying to hurt them and they make them stop. And 3, if anyone, stranger, family member, friend, anyone, tries to hurt them, trick them, or make them feel bad inside, it is not their fault, and they can tell. These are the 3 rules to Rad Kids. Some of you may know about Rad Kids, but for those of you who don't, you need to be educated on what Rad Kids is, what it has done, and what it is doing now. Rad Kids is so much more than just lecturing a child. Rad Kids is an activity-based program that teaches children that they have options, and they don't have to submit to the commands of the perpetrator, or that may be, while all based upon the 3 ground rules previously stated. I can't promise that this will stop every case of abuse or every crime committed against a child, but I can promise you that it will not only empower children, but it will significantly cut down on the rate of crimes committed against children. There are over 250,000 Rad Kids today. Hundreds of cases of abuse have been reported, and those children have been rescued. Over 75 of would-be kidnappings have been attempted against Rad Kids, and not one of them has succeeded. I can't go back in time now and change my past, and I can't even say for sure that I still wouldn't have been kidnapped, but I can say it would have made a difference. I would have had a choice other than being kidnapped or death. Rad Kids should be in every school across America and around the world for that matter. It is often said, education is the key to success. The only problem with this statement is education means nothing if the child is dead. Unfortunately, we live in a world where these issues are the kind that need addressing. Children need to know how to survive before they know the lowest common denominator. I know there are several breakout sessions of Rad Kids during the conference instructed by Mr. Steve Daly. I encourage every person to attend and either refresh your memory or find out for yourself what it is all about. Another memory comes to mind when reflecting on the past that has caused me to believe that the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force is truly the greatest save out there. As a child, I was extremely shy when it came to my body. Wearing a simple V-neck t-shirt in junior high show choir made me feel like I was exposing more than was necessary. Even at night around my own family, I had taken a safety pin to pin the top of my collar closed to ensure complete modesty. During my captivity, I was often forced to spend whole days naked, constantly being raped, looked at, spoken to inappropriately, and touched. I didn't think I would ever be able to overcome the pain and the humiliation of it all. The only thing that I could imagine making the situation worse would have been by having hundreds of thousands of people able to see me naked. The sad truth is that this happens every day to children around the world, and then it is solicited on the internet, causing a never-ending cycle of pain and humiliation for the child. It is heartbreaking to think we can't prevent these crimes from happening to children. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, otherwise known as the ICACs, are a multi-agency task force who respond to Internet crimes committed against children. It is estimated that in a 12-month period, looking at the most brutal and graphic of images, there are over 300,000 traffickers that appear on the web. Less than 2% of these cases are being investigated. Here are a few more statistics to consider. 80% of child pornography possessors have images of children ages 6 through 12 years old. 19% have images of infants and toddlers. 83% have images of sexual penetration. 21% have images of torture and sadistic abuse, and only 1% limit their collections to images of nude children. Every time the ICACs go out, they have a 1 in chance of rescuing a child from a sexually abusive situation. These statistics alone should be reason enough to fully support and fund the Internet Crimes Against Children Division. The ICACs have taken on a job, a very battle, to save the lives of children. There are few people who could do what they do every day. When it comes to Homeland Security, this should be a priority. Children are not only the most valuable asset, but they are the future. I know there is a lot of concern right now in Washington about reducing the national debt. I also know that the funding for the ICACs is on the chopping block right now, but how can we afford to cut funding on saving children's lives? Recently, I learned about a case where 72 people were charged with participating in an international child pornography network. It was said that there was enough child pornography being traded to fill 16,000 DVDs, and included but was not limited to countries such as Canada, Denmark, Ecuador, France, Germany, Hungary, Kenya, Netherlands, the Philippines, Qatar, Serbia, Sweden, Switzerland, and of course the United States of America. How many children did that affect? I have no idea. The number is unimaginable. This is just one case. How many more are out there? How long will it be before the world wakes up and combats this war? The presidents and congressmen should all be actively involved in this war against Internet crimes against children, providing further funding to further the work of ICACs and passing legislation protecting the innocent and punishing these sick, twisted, and depraved forms of human life who take delight in the torturing of the innocent. When I was kidnapped, I was often forced to drink alcohol to make me intoxicated, so that I would become more pliable and unable to resist whatever my captor's sexual desire was. But whatever my physical disability may have been due to intoxication, it didn't diminish any of the pain, humiliation, or memory of what happened to me. Sexual abuse is the foulest form of evil a person can commit. Then to display it for others is physically sickening to me. And anyone who watches it for pleasure is just as evil as the original perpetrator. Sexual abuse doesn't just go away after a child has been raped or molested. It is something they will remember for the rest of their lives. For too many victims, it causes them to live a shell of a life that was once promised. For me, it has pushed me to fight and take a stand. I hope every one of you will take a stand with me today. As president of the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, it gives me great pleasure to announce a Child's Life Award that will be awarded at the next Crimes Against Children Conference to the most outstanding ICAC task force team that goes above and beyond and has developed a task force effort that truly embraces the spirit of the PROTECT Act. We will shortly be posting all the details on the Foundation's website, which is www.elizabethsmartfoundation.org. There is a way to empower our children and to cut down on crimes committed against children. It's the RAD Kids program. And for those crimes that we are unable to prevent and are running rampant throughout the world via the Internet, the ICAC Task Force is the greatest save. I commend and respect each one of you for being here and attending this conference. As I said at the beginning, we can never do enough to bring a child home. Never doubt your efforts or give up on that child, because that one child you saved could have been me. Thank you so much.